Welcome to Sharing the Silver Screen, and it's my choice again. We've been through the ringer now with some unusual ones from me and some epic ones from Andy. We had Duel last time, which I very much enjoyed. And there's going to be a kind of a cat and mouse game, not unlike Duel, which we'll be talking about today. In George P. Cosmatos, the director of Cobra and some say the director of Tombstone. I'll leave that debate up to yourself. Of Unknown Origin, starring Peter Weller, which is effectively a man versus rat, man versus nature in the battle for survival of the fittest. I am again slightly coming away. I'm getting less weird as we go on. This is how I like to say. I'll get back to the really weird stuff, I'm sure, but I'm
Yes,
slowly
we need
but
the
sure.
weirdness.
Don't worry, we'll have the weirdness, but I just want to kind of ease off on the weirdness just a little bit, I'm not bringing the shits. I'm not the Sultan of shit this week. I feel like I'm bringing something very unique to the table. The reason I chose this was the reason I watched this was actually when I moved into my new flat. It's not new now. It's I've been here for a few years now, but at the time I had some the people in this building. There was a couple living below us, living below me, and they were feeding mice that were coming into the building, and they were scurrying up the walls and into my domain. And this is a very new job. Again, I'm going to talk about Derek later. He's left us a lovely comment, but I just started the job. It was very technical, very complicated, something I'd never done before to a degree. So I was struggling quite a bit just to kind of wrap my head around it. And these mice started coming in. And I shit you not, they would get behind my wardrobe and they would scratch and scratch and scratch for hours. And it sounded like they were doing backflips. And there were moments where they got under my bed and I felt like they were in my bed at some moments. It was driving me literally insane. And I tried everything, Andy. I tried everything. Every
I
little
remember.
I told you all about this. Every conceivable thing I tried to get rid of them. I had the little peanut butter from a little bit of plank of wood into a bucket. I tried everything. I tried all the different non-lethal things. In the end, I did have to do some lethal methods, which I did not particularly enjoy, and I do not, promote. But I literally, it got to a point where I was like, I can't continue like this. I have to take decisive action. And weirdly enough, I was reading about this film and I heard about this film and I thought, you know what? I think I might have some skin in the game here. I think I might be able somehow to relate to this character in this film. But that is my journey with this film, Andy. How have you found Of Unknown Origin?
Yes, I mean it's a very tropey film, isn't it? It's very much a kind of film that we've seen many times before in many different settings. The most obvious being sort of like a Jaws kind of film, isn't it? Man versus monster versus beast. We don't really see much of in the film. It's all very close-up shots and quick scurrying action, which is interesting. But yes, it's a very interesting film. Like I said, very tropey. There are so many different moments in this film we spoke about just before start recording, like emotional beats, like moments of a character development, what the person's going through, stress related to work, Wall Street, all this kind of stuff. We've seen it all before. The falling down mechanism, isn't it, of a person going from the top of their game, being thwarted by something so simple as it seems.
Yes.
But then obviously, they become a disheveled shell of a person from what they were up until the point where eventually they have to succeed or they die, as it were.
Yes.
But yeah, an interesting film. I wouldn't say it's particularly going to live long in the memory or groundbreaking or anything like that. I think it's one of those. It's a B movie flick that you look at and you go, yeah, okay, that was interesting,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you'll probably forget about it.
Sure. But I like it for a lot of reasons. I think Peter Weller the star of this and RoboCop, and another George P. Cosmatos film, Leviathan, which was one of those Abyss rip-off kind of films that came out all in the same year. So that one's basically like, what if the thing was underwater as opposed to in an Arctic station, basically, is what that film is, which also stars Peter Weller. It's fine. Again, it's not one I would probably go back to, but it's got a pretty good cast. Daniel Stern, Ernie Hudson, a few other people as well. But yeah, it's definitely a unique film. I'll give you a brief plot synopsis, and the listeners and watchers at home. So we have Bart Hughes, who is this
what a
wealthy
name,
Bart Hughes, just Bart Hughes,
Bart Hughes. No Bartholomew, just Bart.
No, it's Bart. It's Bart because he's cool. He's an 80s guy. He's hip. He's a yuppie. He's making loads of money. He's sexy. He's successful. He's got it all. He's got the attractive wife. He's got the beautiful son. He's got the wonderful brownstone house, which he's renovated himself from top to bottom. And set in New York, but filmed in Canada. And you can kind of tell a little bit. Especially with some of the actors that crop up, which I'll mention.
Yeah.
And he has it all. His wife goes away with his son to visit her father, and all this, and he's been given this big kind of, he's a corporate banker, so he's been given this big deal. He has to kind of rework some stuff and renovate. And
we don't know what this fucking deal is, but apparently it's really important.
You don't really.
Okay.
You don't need to know too much. I think they don't want to get bogged down in all that corporate bollocks bullshit too much.
As it is, it's all just simple. Yeah, this deal. Yeah, really, we really need you're top of your game for this one. Kind of dialogue. You're like,
I'm counting on you for this deal.
Yeah,
don't mess it up.
I don't want to give it to Sleazy McGee over there, but I'm counting on you. And you're like, well,
not only is he dealing with rats at home, he's dealing with rats in the fucking office as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a wonderful parallel for the film, isn't it? But yeah, it's like, come on. At least give us some stakes as to why this deal is important. Don't just tell us, oh, yeah, it's really important. It's a really important deal.
It's something about. It's definitely something about loans, because he talks about the richer people in the banks are not paying their loans off quick enough. The people in lower incomes are actually paying them off much quicker.
Yeah,
which he mentions, like immigrant bankers and
it's almost like he's trying to advocate to go for the little people first, isn't he? In terms of like, we should do business with little people first because they actually pay off the stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah, other than that, it's kind of like,
it's vague enough where I'm not.
Where's the rat?
Get to the fucking rat, you dirty fucking rat. And we'll get to it. There's a lot of rat stuff in this. So yeah, he's doing that, and he's up and coming. He's got a secretary who kind of is attracted to him and wants to help him. And but at home he starts having noises. There's I think his dishwasher floods initially, and
hilarious.
All this other stuff starts happening, and
I like it when the dishwasher floods. It's like it's literally fucking everywhere. It's literally pissing out everywhere, and he gets 3 tea towels, and the next scene it's all dry. Cool. All right.
The world's most absorbent tea towels.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Where'd you get that? Are they Cushell? Are they laced with Cushell? Andrex, let me know.
So, and that's it. And it's this completely kind of escalating story of one man's obsession to get rid of this rat. Because again, this is a house he's built. He's built, much like the house, he's built himself from the ground up. He is now very well. He's at the top of his game. He's very successful. He has everything that anybody would want. But there's one thing. This one thing is holding him back. This one thing is stopping his life being perfect. And he focuses on it, and so much so it becomes an obsession. I think Cosmatos described it as a mind-bending journey into the mind of obsession, or something like that. He described it as some kind of thing.
Well, it'd be a mind-bending.
Mind-bending. I mean, it's a little weird. It's very much in the realm of reality.
He has some nightmares, doesn't he? He has nightmares throughout it. But...
He does. I feel like they were kind of like, oh, we need more rat stuff here with more than him just sat around being miserable. We need some other rat stuff going on. And it does get a bit silly and a bit weird. But I have to admit, it does have like an energy to it, like a. I think the cinematography is great. I think the
Yeah.
shots and the framing. I love all the reflections and kind of use of mirror and layering that they do in several shots, especially around the office with all the glass and everything. And again, it's kind of that idea of reflection and the mirroring of the, story A and story B are reflecting each other, and it's a fight for survival not only in the office but also at home, and yeah, it just becomes this kind of all-consuming thing with him. So much so he's like, I don't want to go into work today. I've got a thing at home. He doesn't say what it is, but he's like,
Yeah.
I will get you that report when I'll get you that report, whatever it's about. But you're gonna have to sit tight. And the boss is like, just don't let anybody see you like this. You're a mess. He's all like, dressed down. His hair isn't up. He's not got his glasses on. He's unshaven. But this is like a guy who's kind of almost OCD, almost like he's obsessed with cleanliness and order and structure. And as the film goes on, that just kind of falls away for him, and he just becomes an absolute wreck until the final confrontation.
I think weirdly enough, I think like the actual rat itself is cathartic for him, because at the end of the film, everything that's fucking happened, he walks back into the house, he walks back into the living room, and there's one fucking piece of furniture which isn't destroyed, and then he just destroys it himself. It's almost like it's a cathartic sort of thing for him, that all of his needs and necessities have been sort of blown away, and he's kind of gone back to the basic and thought, you know what, this is all right. I don't need all this shit. I don't need this shit. I don't need this job. I don't need any of these fucking knobheads. And then he just fucking breaks whatever that lovely piece of furniture is.
Well, I was gonna say, like, it's him going, like, because it is a surviving after this whole like confrontation he has. We'll get into it, but this one vase survives. We don't know how much it's worth, what it is, but this kind of one vase survives, and he just goes, "Fuck it," knocks it off, himself, just very humorously, just knocks it off. But it's him going, "This is all material shit. It's all material. It's not. It doesn't mean anything. I've just fought for my life and won." And there is this very kind of bit on the nose for me, but I quite like that mirror imaging of him. He's got the model version of his house, and the rat ends up in there. So this is very very much spoilers to the end of the film, guys. So if you're wanting to watch
1983.
1983. I know. I've got to do it, Andy. I've got to do it because there will be one fucking person will be like, "No, you spoilt it.
You spoiled of Unknown Origin that I didn't hear about until this podcast."
It was of unknown origin until you brought it up, Dan. I know. This is what I do. So yeah, and he's made a bat full of nails and sharpened, and he's put rat traps. He's put rat traps on his baseball bat.
Very Evil Dead in a way. I was just like, yeah, okay. It was just like tool shed.
I didn't think of that. But you're right. Like. Yeah. And it's like this is his final kind of weapon. This is his sword. This is his battle, and he's going into battle with it. And again, there's this model version of the house, the brownstone, and the rat gets in there. And again, earlier in the film, he put a trap in there, and the rats move the trap, and then he gets his own hand caught in it as well. Like this is going to be his downfall, this house, and trying to protect it. But then at this point, he kind of, like you said, it's
the idea of it.
Yeah, the idea of this is what I represent. This is what I built myself into. This is what this material world. Everything I own is me. And then he just, the rat's in there. And he doesn't hesitate. He just absolutely obliterates that model house.
Yeah,
killing the rat with the baseball bat. Again, everything's leaking, and then, like you said, he goes off and knocks over that vase, and then his family comes home, and we have that ending. But yeah, there's a lot here, I think, considering it's quite a basic premise. There's a lot of rat. You'll find a lot of rat movies. There's a lot of rat movies. You can't move for rat movies and different takes on it. But I think there's something really different about this, because it's not. I think most of those rat movies would be more in the horror camp. This is definitely more of a psychological thriller.
Well, they wanted to make a very clear distinction that it wasn't a horror movie, didn't they? From what I was reading up about, on trivia stuff. Not on IMDb this time, somewhere else. I think they released a couple of trailers that really pissed off the creators because they were like,
Yeah.
well, it's not a horror movie. And you painted it out as if it was like some kind of weird haunted house picture. And I watched one of the trailers and I was like, it doesn't fucking track at all with what really happens in the film. It comes across as really bizarre. So it almost painted it as something that it isn't. When I think if you, like you say, it's much more of a psychological thriller in a way because it's one man's pursuit of, this other presence that he can't really find. I mean, in a way, I guess it is sort of like a haunted house kind of situation, but not in the classical sense because there's a very physical presence that he's trying to hunt down, and he's going into basements that are all weird and spooky, and he's getting people in to do a job for him that can't do the job. It's almost like it isn't there, and then there's all this weird sort of back and forth of, is he imagining it? Is it all in his head? Is he doing all this damage himself? Kind of thing, which up until I think it was about maybe 25 minutes in, I went, no, it is a real creature. It's not just in his head. But it's an interesting sort of way to posit it because it is an allegory for, for stress. It's an allegory for, somebody in work at this high pressure situation who's been able to get out of, and solve mergers and all this kind of stuff. Like you get the idea from films like American Psycho, those high level positions, which, are so busy, so full of, mass amounts of money, trading hands, left, right, center. He can do that job, no problem at all. Might be a bit difficult, but he nails it every single time. That's why he's so well respected. And then something as, seemingly as mundane as, a pest in the home, and everything goes to shit. I mean, that's the great allegory, isn't it? It's like you can't control something as low level as one singular rat in his house, but he can control this vast empire that deals with millions and millions of dollars and people's lives. It's a very interesting premise.
It's definitely a kind of like a House of Cards thing. It's like he's built everything up, and it's just this one obsession, this one hyper focus he can't kind of quite manage to fix.
Because he can't fix it. That's where it all falls apart for him, because he can't fix it immediately. It's his simple answers don't work.
Yeah, because
they don't work.
He puts out the traps, they don't work. Much like I did. Put out the traps, don't work. Try the bait, don't work. And like it got to a point where there's a lot of kind of humor in the film, like Peter Weller and Cosmatos wanted to add a bit of levity to it, a bit of humor, a bit of kind of hope and reprieve. They didn't want it just to be like a downward slide into obsession. They wanted some moments where he thinks, "Oh, I've won, I've done it, I've succeeded." He feels like when he hires the exterminator and comes in, he's like, "Honey, I'm home," and he's talking to the rat, and and again, it's like he's shit talking with the rat. And like there was a moment I remember with the mouse here, and it got to a point where I was just leaving the lights on and trying to fall asleep because I was like, maybe if I leave the lights on, they won't come out and they won't fucking scratch the back of my wardrobe, till 4 a.m. And there was literally a moment where it just stood there, like looking at me, and I was like, I can fucking see you. I can fucking see you. And I literally stomped. I stomped my foot and it jumped like 10 centimeters in the air. And I was like, you've got some fucking brass balls on you to look me in the eye and fucking like this is why the film is quite relatable to me. It got to a point where even I was kind of fucking losing it and just talking to a rat for I don't know how long. Yeah, again, like, this is why I quite like the film, because I was like, I can relate to this, I can get this.
There are films out there that you just relate to, don't you? From whatever reason, and this reason's more on the nose than any.
It's a direct reason.
Yeah,
it's not just like you could see it as it's like you said, it's an allegory for this and that, or one.
Like I relate to Gladiator because God, Russell Crowe spoke to me within the reeds when he's in the field. And he's touching the reeds. I can relate to that because of my adventures in Cornwall. Yeah, well, fuck off. You literally fought mice.
It's like did you ever see that that the Shining documentary where everyone's like this is what the Shining means, or this is what this
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
and everyone is coming up with they're like they're like, oh, it's talking about the enslavement of Native American people, and
yeah.
I was like, I can't really argue with you. I mean,
Mm,
it's certainly a take, if you want to connect it to that, or and this and
yeah,
that and this, if you want to fit the puzzle pieces together, feel free. I don't know if I
yeah.
see it myself,
It's
but
the director confessing that the moon landings weren't real. What?
yeah, I don't know about that one. Don't know
What?
about that one.
Okay. Because the kid's wearing a jumper. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's clearly saying something about like Wall Street and yuppies. This is another kind of yuppie imperiled movie
Yeah.
that I've covered before, and it's pretty much it is about the rat race, isn't it? It's quite literally about the
Yeah.
rat
I
race.
mean, yeah, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, you get through the film as his sort of falling down, if you like, comes into play. The noises in the city start getting more pronounced and more louder. There's a great shot when he's walking out of the building and he's sort of walking down the street towards the camera, and it's obviously ADR noises, but you can hear cars in the background beeping, you can hear people chattering and arguing, you can hear a baby crying, you can hear cab drivers, all this kind of stuff, all building up, and it slowly builds up and gets louder and louder and louder until the next shot is in his house. And that's the thing. The house is supposed to be some sort of sanctuary, isn't it, for him? And his sanctuary has been compromised. So he doesn't get away from any of those stresses. So those stresses just ramping up twofold for him. He doesn't have his beautiful wife there. He doesn't have his son there throwing frosties all over the floor. It's just him, this empty house, and an invader that he can't find and he can't fight and he can't win against.
What did you think of how the rat was filmed? Do you think that was effective, like using these kind of micro lenses to make it look even bigger than it was? And
yeah, I mean, it's very much. Again, we said before we started filming, it's very much a particular style that we've seen in many films. That we don't see much or anything of the creature for a good long while. We just hear noises. And then when we do see it, it is loud, brash, really up close imagery. I think the one in the fucking toilet got me. Fucking don't know why. I don't know what I must have been looking at the trivia while I was watching it, and then sort of like when he went to the bathroom, I was like, oh, okay. And then it clicked, like literally a millisecond before it clicked, where the guy said, "Oh yeah, you give them poison, they get into your fucking toilets, they get it everywhere." And I literally went, "Oh," and he went, I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ." So I was sat in here watching it, so I had my dual screens going. So I was watching it on this screen directly underneath the camera, and then I had the trivia on the bigger screen. So I was just categorizing things, and I'm just like, oh shit. So I think it served the film a lot better. We do get some shots of it sort of like in the walls, Matrix style, where it's just scurrying through the walls and whatever, which I suppose we get some from its perspective as well, don't we? Which is pretty strange. But that'll bring me to something that I wanted to mention in a little while. I did find it quite interesting that we got sort of like a bit more of a personal kind of thing with the rat, as opposed to keeping it as a sort of like a monster, a separate monster that doesn't have any qualities to sort of
it's not necessarily an other. There's
something about it. There's something real about it. It's not like it's not just a crazed monster from nowhere, like with film like Sting, where there's the spiders from outer space and whatever, and there's some other strange fucking things going on with it. Because it has little babies, doesn't it, and all this kind of stuff. And like I said, we do see it scurrying around like it's trying to find its own safe space, its own castle, as you were. So it is interesting. I mean, it's quite clear they wanted it to be a larger than life rat, but it's interesting again reading through trivia and reading through some like newspaper articles that fucking giant rats are out there. So it's not really all that mystical or surprising, really. I think it's just interesting to see it.
it's not like Food of the Gods style giant rats. I think we talked about on the holiday special. Do you remember? Do you remember that rat that was in the Mos Eisley cantina? And I was like, oh, that's a rat puppet from Food of the Gods, which is the H.G. Wells story where they eat some white goo and become massive, all the different animals and stuff.
No, it's still one that can scurry in the walls and hide in small places.
Yeah, well, they say the Peter Weller and George P. Cosmatos, they both went to a library and they reflected their research in that scene where, you know, Peter Weller's character, Bart Hughes, goes to research it, and you see some really like disturbing kind of documentary footage there of like the rats fighting each other and biting each other's tails and like eating their young and things like that. Nothing like overly gruesome, but it's still pretty gruesome from
you see the nature film in there.
Yeah, it's basically it's a nature documentary that he shows within the film, so it kind of makes sense. There is don't worry.
You get that little bit in the book when he's researching. It says of unknown origin when it's describing a particular rat, which is interesting. He's looking for all the plague footage, plague writings,
bites, and
all this kind of weird stuff.
Disease. I think there was like shots of like people who've died and the just left there, and people have had their eyes eaten out by rats. And shit. Like some really like gruesome stuff, and 100% of the facts in this film are accurate. They are true because again, Weller and Cosmatos did the research. They took the time, and they were like, it's really interesting, but also kind of terrifying. So like the stuff where he's like, they can survive nuclear, atomic testing. They can go through, they can squeeze themselves into the size of a penny or a cent or whatever he says. All of that and all the history and the everything. Like let's talk about the dinner scene actually, because that is just wall to wall rat facts. So
it waffles on. It's fucking brilliant. One of my favorite scene in the entire movie. Everyone's eating a lovely dinner, and he's just fucking staring into space. And you're like, well, what's wrong? And he goes, I'll tell you what's wrong, and just spews rat fact after rat fact. Did you know during the plague, you're just like, oh shit! Everyone just sort of goes, ooh, gets really bothered by it.
I love the two guys that are trying to like take his job basically, and are like wanting him to fail. One of them's like, "Oh, tell me more about this," and he's like, "Stringy chicken." And he's like, "Oh yeah. If you eat rats, it tastes like stringy chicken." And that guy's eating, but the other guy's like, "I can't eat with this," but like spits it out. But yeah, just like wall to wall, and it's just like it's a wonderful like little monologue he has, which is just him kind of just, hey, do you know this and do you know that, and do you know in the Philippines they worship rats and they have to eat them, and all this wonderful stuff. And this is like a proper like business professional, well-to-do. Like
they've been planning it for weeks. And he got invited, and he's like, yeah, sure, we'll get the deal sorted. No, he's just talking about rats and putting everybody off their food.
And he's talking to somebody who he doesn't know as well. Like that's it. He goes, "Yeah, let me tell you about rats." And he's like, "Really? The rats are big in New York? Yeah, I'll tell you how big they are. They can get as big as this. They can do that. They can do this. Spread disease. Yeah, they live in your toilet. It's fine. They can tread water for days and all this. Wonderful, just wonderful. Like I think Peter Weller is on like this is. I think this is one of his best performances for me.
I mean, it's surprising because it was his first lead role, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 4 years before RoboCop, I think he had Buckaroo Banzai not long after this, and then I think '89 was Leviathan with Cosmatos again. So, and I'm sure he did other stuff in between.
No, and he is great. I think it's one of the good things about the film. To be fair, is just he's completely invested in it, isn't he? He knows what he's talking about. He knows how to perform each and every scene. I love the sort of slow disheveling look that he carries, and he carries it, well. It looks genuine. It looks, physically genuine. He becomes from this, this striding, powerful man to this hunched up figure hiding on the stairs when his secretary comes round. He's fucking Rambo'd up. There's another great scene when he's fucking Ramboing himself up or commandoing himself up to do battle with them out with the rat, and then she comes round and he's just sat on the stairs like a fucking hat on, wearing all black, and you're like, fucking hell, what's he doing?
He's becoming his worst enemy. He's becoming his nightmare. He's not a Batman. He's a rat man. He's dealing with a critter from the shitter. But he does become like they say in the film, like, oh, the rat's probably thinking about you 80% of the time, you're thinking about it 20% of the time. It's thinking about ways and means to like frustrate you and upset you and cause you issues and destroy your things. And its teeth never stops growing, which really disturbed me. That a rat's that's why they're constantly gnawing on things to stop their teeth from growing. Speaking, it wasn't just me who dealt with the mice problem as well. It was my next door neighbor as well.
Jesus.
And she had to put stuff in like mason jars because she apparently she was in the shower, and not unlike some of the scenes in this film, and it was like on her like the railing on her like shower where she would hang her towels and
fuck.
Trying to get in these mason jars. So it wasn't, and I could hear her sometimes scream, and I'd run over and see if she needed help and stuff. She moved out recently, which I didn't realize, but yeah, like it wasn't just me who was dealing with it. But I think we did our best to kind of contain it. But at the end of the day, if people are feeding it downstairs, it's nothing. There's nothing we can kind of do really. I don't know what the fuck they were doing, but yeah, strange people in my building. Strange people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Get rid of them.
Yeah, get rid of them. And I'm pretty sure, like the maintenance man, they apparently, I think they did have a rat problem in one of the like big skips. I think they turned it over, and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He was like, "Oh, we turned it over because there's rats in here." And I was like, well, okay, you poisoning? He was like, no, we're just going to whack them. And I was like, okay, well, this is of unknown origin.
It's whacking day.
It was just him and this young lad, and they were like, yeah, we'll just fucking whack him. Just like, so this isn't
like... You're whacking buttons, boys.
So again, this is kind of like it's shot, and it has an atmosphere where it does feel somewhat supernatural, somewhat... otherworldly.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Just the way they frame it, the way it looks, the way even the shots in the office make him look kind of small and rat-like almost. That he's like.
Yeah, they do. They go from being quite grandiose to being very, very sort of like tight on him, don't they? Yeah. Especially when he's sleeping and he's waking up in little balls and huddles, so he can't sleep in his bed properly and all this kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and he's like sleeping. He ends up sleeping in a hammock because he gets in the bed. And it's dropping out of the wall. It's like chewing its way through the ceiling, dropping down, trying to get him. But it does become, like you said, Andy, the rat does become more than just a rat. It becomes like it's a vendetta between the two of them. Because, Because he accidentally drops the young rats down the drain. Because the mother rat attacks, and he ends up like going dropping them down the drain, and yeah, so it's actively, and like some of the things are like, how would it know to destroy the cheque for the pest control man? How would it know to do that? There is stuff where I'm like, okay, well, the logic, it doesn't quite work out, so to speak. But,
no, but then that's where the sort of like this otherworldly aspect comes into it, don't you? It doesn't it? Because it's like, again, with this other film that has parallels to it, which we'll talk about in a bit. There are those moments in there where you're like, well, what the fuck is it actively? Because when that guy's saying to him, oh yeah, it's thinking about you 100% of the time, all this kind of stuff, he's like, fuck off, and you go, nah, fuck off, as well as the audience member. You're right with Peter Weller's, you go, fuck, he's talking shit, isn't he? And Peter Weller's like, yeah, he's talking shit. So it's those little moments which add that sort of bizarreness to it. Like, is the house trying to kill us? Is the hotel trying to kill us? In Shining, why is the shark persecuting this boat? What is it about the shark hunting the boat?
Don't get me started on Jaws the Revenge again.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Piece of shit. There's only one Jaws. And yeah, I mean, it's Hal purposely trying to, end these humans. What is it? What happens? What changes? And obviously, there's those moments, isn't there? Those key moments which change the dichotomy of whatever it is. the creature in the film, like Godzilla, Godzilla '98. They kill all the babies in that by blasting them to destroy Madison Square Garden. So it immediately has a vendetta against this one very fucking tiny taxi in the whole of Manhattan. Those kind of things. Is the creatures, even though we know they can't be sentient beings, there's no possible way they're sentient beings. There is this supernatural element which gives them sentience. So when he does find the check, which it made me laugh because I was like, oh, fuck off. When he was like, I told you where the fucking check was. I go, we came, there's no fucking check. So fuck you. And he's like, you piece of shit. And then he like picks up and goes, oh, it's fucking, it's all. I mean, it still doesn't make sense how they didn't find the check, because the check is quite clearly there where he said it was going to be. It's just all ripped apart. And you're like, common sense. But again, same thing, like the rat gets into the cereal cupboard, and it's like he goes in there and it all pours on him. Very comedy film-esque, and he sits down and he's like, you fucking piece of shit. And you're like, that the rat's specifically targeting, this stuff, because the rat knows, weirdly enough, that his son does it, if you like, and it really winds him up. He's causing so much mess. So the rat's just done it fucking 100 times fold and opened up everything, and it's all just poured on him. Yeah. So, yeah, you do have those sentient moments, which are outlandish, but they add something to the film to make you question, and to make him question as a character what's really going on. Is it me? Is it just a fucking rat, or is it me?
Why am I so bothered? Why is this so important to me? Shouldn't I be focused on other things? Shouldn't I be focused on this? Shouldn't I be putting all of my effort into this? This very big thing. And he says at the beginning of the film, like, he has this secretary, and she's very supportive and kind of the emotional kind of backbone and support for him of the film to a degree. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little while, but he says, this isn't my bag, this isn't something I do. And not only is it not something he does, he's only given 2 weeks, so the pressure is on. The pressure is on for him to deliver. So and he's attempting to, and he's trying. And again, this whole thing becomes his Moby Dick, doesn't it? It becomes his quest.
Yeah. Everything he does is irrational.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it becomes an all-consuming thing, and it almost loses all meaning. The quest itself kind of loses all meaning for him.
Yeah, and again, that's what happens to Moby Dick. It's not about the fucking whale anymore. It's about him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Moby Dick, he's reading Moby Dick, a very obvious metaphor in the film. And then he's
watching the Old Man and the Sea.
Old Man and the Sea, yeah, very good. And then again, another metaphor again when he smashes his own house. It kind of represents, that, like you said, that catharsis. And yeah, I think, again, like, I don't mind the more fun kind of genre feel to it, because it does still have that. It's still like a psychological thriller, and it still has those elements, but I'm glad it kind of has these kind of quirks, because Peter Weller is a very quirky actor anyway, and I'm glad he injects a lot of himself in this. Like, there's a lot of, she's like, oh, what's that sound? He's like, house sounds, like all the weird dialogue, like, you furry motherfucker, all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm so glad that he just, because on the page it was very much just like very serious, very staid, very like. Downward trajectory of he just, disappears until he has his kind of, success at the end, the victory at the end. But I'm glad there is the dreams that where his family comes home and he's like, oh, you're here. Where have you been? I love you. Where have you been? And then his son's like making a mess, but this time he's making a mess and making cereal out of the rat poison he's bought.
Yeah.
While he's, getting, down and dirty with Shannon Tweed. Who was 1982's Playmate of the Year, Andy.
Well,
so
I didn't do that research at all.
Don't worry, I'm very familiar with the work of Shannon Tweed. I spent a lot of my time as a teenager watching Channel 5 and all of her erotic thrillers. So I'm very familiar. She married Gene Simmons of Kiss as well.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, I there was a sexual awakening I had thanks to Shannon Tweed. So, and apparently,
Channel 5's Friday night specials. The Friday Night Lights.
5 knuckle shuffle. Just with me.
You're watching Friday Night Blue on Channel 5.
I mean, it was better than like Eurotrash, which was considerably worse than that stuff.
That was just a comedy show.
I know, but there was nudity, wasn't there? And teenage boys will find that was my obsession. That was my rat. That was what I had to.
That was your rat. Okay.
I was like, I need boobies. I need the boobies, quick. I need some boobies in my life.
Most people settles for the catalogue, but all right.
yeah, we don't have any catalogues in my house, so I had to find other means.
Shame. This is pre-internet, boys and girls.
Yeah, you'll forget. There's no internet porn available. There's no softcore modeling or anything at your fingertips as it is now. But yeah, that was how my introduction to her anyway. But yeah,
she got an introductory credit, didn't she?
She did. Yeah. And I don't think film. Yeah, same with Peter Weller as well, first film as well, and yeah, I don't think she's bad. I think she serves the story she needs to. Speaking of the secretary, I like. There's a lot of stuff I like about this film, but this is the bit that felt a bit like it was unnecessary.
Just tacked on, yeah.
Yeah, because he starts that she clearly knows there's something wrong with him. She's familiar with him. She works with him. She can clearly see him deteriorating mentally, physically, across the board. And she's worried about him and his job and keeping up appearances and keeping his job. She's at the business dinner and she's like, oh my God, look at him, deteriorating. And she's trying to find ways to, give him a reprieve or kind of boost his confidence or she's doing his work for him basically to support him when he's not there.
Yeah.
He goes off to he's like, I'm going to have an early lunch, and goes off to the library and spends a whole day researching rats. And then she comes in and says, "Oh, don't forget about the dinner tonight." And he goes, "It never ends, does it?" It's just like
such a dark line. It never ends, does it? Probably staring out the window.
I mean, that's bloody working in an office, Andy. There's a lot. There's some day, as much as I like working in the office, Derek, I know you're listening. I love our office, but there are days where I'm like, Jesus Christ, not today.
It's the same in fucking job I do. It's like, except for me, it's do people never fucking learn? Like, really? Like, you in again? Oh, fucking hell! Right? What's happened this time?
Yeah, same old shit. Old shit.
But again, it never ends.
So. It never ends. But yeah, so she eventually, she goes into the house. She tries to, keeps going in and comes in and they have a kiss. They share a kiss, so they might be having an affair, sort of, but it didn't really work for me.
No, it was kind of just like, that's added in unnecessarily, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a bit.
And he's like, I think you should go now.
Yeah.
Just get her to leave. And then the big boss, the big boss finally, he goes, Chicago's delayed and New York's delayed, wherever. The two people that were coming in for this business meeting have now delayed it. So he's decided to delay it 2 weeks. So Bart, because he knows Bart's struggling, Bart's come in and gone, he basically goes, I need to kill this rat without saying I need to kill this rat.
Yeah.
And he says, right.
We should have just fucking said it, really. My house is being destroyed by a rat. Well, here you go. Here's a really good fumigator. Your family aren't living there at the moment, so when you move out, I'll put you up in a hotel for 2 weeks so you can focus on a job and we'll fumigate your house.
I think again, it's like we see it through the modern lens. I don't think back then you would openly talk about like mental health issues or personal problems at work.
No,
you got to keep up appearances. Even in the UK, I think it's not something we'd. It seems like now, if you made this film now, you would have that scene. You'd be like, I'm really struggling. I've got a rat problem. And he'd be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can help you or do this. We'd have that scene. But I think back in these days where people are like, I'm the up-and-comer, I've got to be successful, I've got to be the best, I've got to be, I've got to do all the things, I've got to get the contracts, be the guy that, everyone trusts and goes to with their issues and business problems. I think it's that. I think that's what it is. And I get why she's here, but I just don't think they do either enough with her. But I mean, she's the one because she's a woman. She's like, she's the emotional one. She's the supportive one. She's got to be there. The wife is away. I get why she's there. It just doesn't work for me. I think I'd much rather, him speak to the other guy, like the other rat catcher people, or or speak to his wife
Yeah.
on the phone or something. I think there was a better way to do it, but yeah, she gets the reprieve, he gets the 2 weeks, and she runs in and tries to get in the house, tries to get in, and she's like, "You've been given another 2 weeks. It's all gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay." And he goes, "Leave us alone." Because that's it. That's all he's got in this world now is him and this fucking rat. He doesn't care about anything else. It doesn't matter. He's like, he can't even think about that right now. He is entirely focused on this creature and getting it dead.
Yeah. I mean, even some of the other characters that we go back to time and time again, I was getting a bit tired with them because I was like, they're just there to dump, not quite exposition, but just the next plot device for him to attempt to use rather than actively helping or anything. I feel like a lot of the stuff that these other characters do, he probably could have discovered on his own, really. The different methods of, trying to get rid of them rather than having some bumbling fucking idiot say, "Oh, we can't, don't use this because they're smart and they'll ignore it." Oh, okay, right.
Did you recognize the actor, the first one he talks to about the rat, the maintenance guy in the building? Do you recognize him?
No.
If I say David Cronenberg, do you recognize him now?
No.
You're gonna kick yourself.
I probably will, to be fair.
He's the guy from Scanners who gets his head blown up.
Ah, of course he is. Of course he is. Yeah.
Filmed in Canada, so clearly he was available.
Yeah.
But to be fair,
Hey, you're that guy, aren't you? Yes, I am. In you come.
That's what happens when a rat gets into his house. He just can't handle it.
Yeah, he'll probably just eat through his brain and.
So yeah, he's there. I think he's pretty good. Not so much the other guy. I felt like you didn't need that other guy. The one where he bought the poison from. You could have bought it from somebody else.
Same fucking role, innit?
Yeah, I didn't see the point in that. I'm like, you could save money by hiring, just not another actor.
Yeah.
And I think you are right. I think, some of the kind of the sycophantic kind of office people, some of them I'm like, do you need two of those? I don't know if you need two of them.
Yeah, I get I stopped listening.
Yeah.
Stop listening to some of the side plot and that kind of stuff. I just wasn't interested because I know he's fucking up in the job.
To the rat.
Just get to the fucking rat because that's where this is all leading, isn't it? Because his fucking business woes will all be fine once he kills the fucking rat. Yeah. So just cut the shit and get to the point. But it's weird because it does move at a brisk pace, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it is only 90 minutes long, if that.
Not even
It does move at pace. But again, it's like I think we talked about with another film a while back where it's like, there are still moments when you're like, just egging it on a little bit because you have to fill up the time, which is, I think if you just focused on a bit more, maybe in the house, in hunting or prepping, we buy into it, like the Home Alone setup or something like that. We buy into it. We're not going to go, oh God, I wish we had more of the bankers. You know what I mean? Are we?
We need more trade negotiations, Andy. That's what we need. More trade negotiations.
The Phantom Menace told us that was the right thing to do.
Kids love trade negotiations.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Because you go to this film and you're like, okay, I'll have all the backstory in the world, like American Psycho, all these side characters, if it fucking impacts the central premise of the film. I'll have all the fucking. This is the problem we have with fucking, like, if we're going to scale up, this is the problem we have with the fucking Godzilla movies at the moment. I'll have all the fucking backstory in the world for these human characters if it fucking matters. And it doesn't matter. So it's shit. You cut the chafe out of these Godzilla movies and you end up with half a movie half the time. Like, just get rid of the shit and focus on what everybody just wants to see, and you've got half a movie. And
I definitely, as much as I enjoyed Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, whatever it was called, I did think a lot of those human characters. That was the one. I think that was the one film I was like, I really don't need these human characters to explain every fucking detail
Exactly,
of
and that's
how
what they
all
do.
of this
Just
works.
fucking explain. It's exposition.
Yeah.
Fucking hate exposition.
Like Brian
Tyree
Henry in that, I was just like, shut the fuck up, please, just shut
Yeah.
up for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Like, it's not. It gets to a point where it's not even a character. Even Dan Stevens, I love. In we talked about The Guest. In that, I was just like, you're just here to be the affable guy. You're not here to be anything else, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
again, I love all the kind of the monster stuff. 2 thumbs up, but all the other kind of again, it's stuff that they've already displayed via the monsters' actions and their reactions to things. So I don't need the humans to go, oh, by the way, hello tribe that I can't speak to. I'm just going to over-explain everything to you anyway.
Yeah.
It's just again, I enjoyed it, but there were a lot of problems with that.
Yeah, cut the shit.
I agree.
Show us what we want to see, whether it's ghost busting, whether it's fucking monsters, whether it's fucking Batman, whether it's fucking Superman. Just fucking get to it. Get to the fucking point.
Hey, Deadpool and Wolverine promised to give the people what they want, and they absolutely did for my money.
Yeah,
they absolutely.
And again, that's why it's making all the fucking money, because they gave you what you wanted. I don't know, it's not the greatest film in the world. It's not going to change anything MCU wise, but they gave you what you wanted. To be fair, for a lot of this film, it does the same. It gives you exactly what you want. It's just those little extra characters, but I don't think needed to be in there. I think you could have just really, really honed in. But again, like you say, I think they didn't want it to be too dour, did they? They didn't want it to be too, it's just this one man and beast. They wanted to have some lightweight moments, and these little snivelly little sidekicks. The maintenance man, I'm not sure where the fuck he's come from. Seems to have access to the house. Oh,
yeah, he walks in at one point when he makes the bat with nails. He just walks in.
It's literally his house. It's not like an owned building. He's not like the fucking janitor for the building, is he? It's Peter Weller's house.
Even my building with the maintenance man, as I described earlier, he still says, "Are you going to be in?" He still asks. The very God knows. I could be watching another.
Yeah,
I could be
making
watching
that
another Shannon Tweed movie.
Yeah,
he's just like, and he just walks out. He walks in, he walks out.
Yeah. Channel 5 only can watch Shannon Tweed.
But yeah, I think what would have been interesting is I think you could have gone 2 ways with this. I think amazingly, to a degree, again, yuppies had a reputation at this time in the 80s for business practices and all this stuff they were doing. So I think it's quite admirable that Peter Weller makes the character quite likable, even though he's not. He's got everything he's ever wanted. He's got everything you've ever wanted: a beautiful wife, home, beautiful family, loads of money, doing really well. But and then when this happens, you do kind of empathize with him, and I think they could have gone 2 ways with it. I think they could have gone the way they've gone, adding the humor, the levity, the emotional stakes, and the highs and lows of that. Or you could just go, I don't like him. I really don't like him. And I want that rat to kill him. Yeah. Exactly. I think you could have gone 2 ways with it. Again, they kind of find a middle ground because you kind of feel bad for the rat because it kills its... Peter Weller accidentally kills the kids of the rat, so that's why it gets. And again, they're more vicious. They say in the film they're even more vicious because they're female, and they're So there's elements of that. What did you think to the editing? I thought the editing was really quite good in this.
Yeah, I mean, because you do get a few, like I said before, you get those moments where he's putting things together and it's quite frantically shot, and then you do get those longer moments when he is just, sat in a corner or sat on the stairs. So it all plays up. Like I said, I mentioned that long shot before as well, where he's just walking down the street. It all plays up to the climax of the film. It's all it feels more and more quickly edited, and that's not because things are shit, which we've talked about before in other films where they're trying to cover things up. It's very much purposeful because it's the frantic nature of the situation that's going on. So when we get to the final battle, it is all over the place. It's fucking he's here, he's there, it's fucking everywhere. So it's very, very, very well done. the editing in that. And I think that goes hand in hand with the cinematography as well, because it's showing you exactly what you need to see and not giving you too much at the same time. I think that's why the editing is really good. But I think the whole thing is it's been crafted and directed, to look a very certain way, and you can tell that by the way it comes across in the final product. So, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I think they shoot around. I don't think it always works, but I think they shoot around the idea of the rat, and there is a puppet. They used a rat puppet as well as the shots. They used about 40 rats, I think, in total.
Jesus. Yeah. Well, I wonder if that was a problem, because obviously, I mean, did it? I'm just speculating. Did they not want to show anything wider of the rat because maybe it didn't look good, or was it just a case of it looked too unrealistic if we've got these other realistic shots of rats in it? I don't know. I mean, you want to keep the mystery, don't you, as well? You want to hide how big it is.
Like you said, they really wanted to keep the mystery in the trailers because it looks like it's going to be Poltergeist when it absolutely isn't Poltergeist. I don't know why they marketed that way.
I've got a fucking clue. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I watched the trailer, even I was like, that's not what I just watched.
Yeah, because I when I learned about it, I went, oh, well, I'll watch the trailer. And sometimes trailers are good and sometimes, trailers are shit.
Yeah.
And that one I was like, yeah, there's a nice voiceover, there's this, there's that. But actually, it doesn't tell me anything about the film. And again, unfortunately, the title doesn't really tell you much about the film either.
No.
It's because it's of unknown origin, which is about the genus of the the Latin term for the rat. They don't know particularly where it came from. It travelled about, and
because they've been around for fucking millions of years.
Millions of years, yeah. They survived all this, like cockroaches and stuff. They'll survive anything. So yeah, there is that. I did quite enjoy those. Of
unknown origin.
Of unknown origin. What's
could
the
be
film
a ghost? It could be a demon. It could be.
Well, I mean, the original title, The Visitor, I think would give people the feeling of maybe it was an alien or it was a haunted house,
serial killer, or
a serial killer. So I think that would probably be. And again, if they were marketing it as that and called it The Visitor, I think people would turn up and be disappointed it wasn't a ghost thing or an alien thing. So I think it's a slightly better title, but it's not much better than that. It still has this unknown quality to it, which again is in the title. But yeah, it's kind of, and I think that's probably, again, I feel for the marketing team to a degree, but I also feel like they've gone the exact wrong direction with marketing this film.
Yeah, and we see it before. We've seen it before, and we see it all the time, don't we? With trailers, we've got trailers that reveal far too much.
True.
We've got trailers that reveal, mainly action beats, especially Marvel films. They just show you like, oh my god, Red Hulk, that kind of stuff. Like designed to get you hyped up on very specific elements. We had it with Wolverine Deadpool trailer, didn't we? We've had it with all trailers, monster movie trailers do it where they hide things. Cloverfield's one of the best trailers for not telling you what the fuck the film is about. But that was done in the right way. So whereas this trailer was, got the wrong end of the fucking stick entirely. The Cloverfield trailer went, well, we're gonna show you some devastation from the distance, but we're not going to tell you what caused the devastation. But instead of that being, oh well, I don't know what this film is, you were like, well, fucking hell, somebody's just ripped the Statue of Liberty's head off. So I wonder what it is. So you create that mystery which permeated for fucking months until that film was released, to the point where we were in university in first year at that time.
Yeah.
Myself and my two housemates at the time, still very good friends with now, we were fucking obsessed with it. We're like, well, fucking mad that, because I think it was, but the when we moved in September, it was coming out in the November, I think. And we were like, oh, fucking hell. I think it was November anyway. We were like, fucking hell, Jesus, that's coming out very soon. And the trailer showed nothing. Just showed explosions, a party, and then the Statue of Liberty's head rolling down the street. And we're like, Jesus, wonder what that's about. And we went to the cinema and we're like, fucking hell, that was bizarre. Handheld footage monster movie, which was just all no holds barred, right up in your face, camera shots and action. That was the right way to do a movie trailer. This trailer, again, it's the same thing. They're almost trying to tell you, like, oh, we wonder what the mystery is, wonder what it is, but it creates a different picture entirely where you think it's going to be a ghost movie or a haunted house movie. It doesn't paint the picture of a monster movie in a small environment or a psychological thriller with this existential threat of a monster. It's just really bad. It's really bad marketing for me.
I agree.
And there's nothing I hate more than bad fucking trailers. And I've got to be honest, like the Marvel trailers don't do anything for me anymore because I think they are all fucking bells and whistles designed, key jangling techniques. Like with the new Captain America trailer, did nothing for me because, Red Hulk, great. But they've added in Giancarlo Esposito after the third set of reshoots. Okay, so
it's
one of those, isn't it?
It's TikTokable, Andy. It's a short clip that people can share.
Exactly, and that's all it is. And we have it. They did it at San Diego Comic Con.
Of course they did.
I'm not going to spoil it, but the great reveal of San Diego Comic Con, which now people are debating all over the place whether it's a good idea or not. Again, less than 30 seconds of a reveal, really. And we'll get shared on Shorts on YouTube, and it gets shared on TikTok and Instagram, and people are going fucking batshit crazy for it. One way or the other.
I saw some stats on Instagram about the reveal, and it did exactly what it was designed to do, which got people talking. No publicity is bad publicity, isn't it? So people like the decision or don't like the decision, however you land on it, you're talking about it. I've talked about it, you've talked about it, we've all talked about it, we've all reacted to it, and that's exactly what they wanted. So they've got, however the films turn out, they got.
Yeah, and let's be honest, we're all going to be there watching that, aren't we? Because of who it is, character and actor. We're all going to be there day fucking one, which is exactly what they wanted.
Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I think we're coming to an end. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before the end? I know that you've been talking about it. You're like it's just like this one film. I'm not going to bring it up. It's just like this one thing. I'm going to tell you later. It's almost like this film. Tell me what this film is.
So while watching this film, like you said, there are a few moments in it that are quite light-hearted and comedy-esque. While I was watching this film, there was a point about halfway through, and I think it was when he was speaking to this hiring this rat catcher, and I just thought, fuck me, this film has so many parallels to Mousehunt starring Nathan Lane and Lee Evans. No word of a lie. Absolutely no word of a lie. There are so many plot points and plot beats and moments in this film of unknown origin which are directly parallel to Mousehunt starring Nathan Lane and Lee Evans. From the point where both these people, like basic premise, both these people are at the top of their game. Right? Top of their game. Nathan Lane is a Michelin star restaurant owner. Lee Evans is going to inherit this family business, which is all about string. This string empire is great. It's fucking brilliant. And it all comes fucking crashing down when they get this new house. This new house, which looks a bit similar, to be fair, the way it's structured. And what's in this house? One fucking mouse. One mouse that fucking ruins everything. And it has a vendetta against them. It picks a vendetta against them and goes after them time and time again. The more they do to stop it, the worse it gets. But whereas the mouse isn't doing anything strategically to destroy them, they're arguably destroying themselves. You still have those moments, especially when Christopher Walken's character turns up as the rat catcher, and it tries to kill him. It's hilarious. But again, there's moments like that, like when he's setting up these traps throughout the house. Like I fucking laughed, ball out laughing. When, like you said before, when Peter Weller's put that trap and the rats moved it. It's exactly like fucking Mousehunt when they put all these traps out in the kitchen and they've escalated it. They put all these traps in the kitchen and they realise they can't get out. So they wait a whole night and then the mouse comes through and then detonates all the traps and it just takes them out. Oh, man, I was watching it. Like towards the end of the film, I was like, yeah, there's so many, even up to the point where they're fucking just destroying the house. Like, because he's destroying the house. The house is fucking ruined by the end of it. And their house is ruined by the end of it. But come the end of it, the house is fucking gone. They realise the folly of the house. He realises the folly of all this wealth and whatever. The parallels are fucking there. I tell you right now, go and watch fucking Mousehunt. You will see the direct lines, the crossing lines.
Should have
Even,
saved this. We
even
should have saved this for a Clone Wars. That's what we should have
yeah.
done. Compared the
Well,
two.
maybe we could do it again in the future. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Who would win?
But
Who would
literally,
win?
even down to little character beats, where they're just going fucking psychotic, and there's two of them. There's two main actors in Mousehunt, obviously, but and then you get all these other side characters, like I said, with Christopher Walken, which is brilliant. It's one of my favorite Christopher Walken roles. That I would love to know. I would love to have been in that casting room or that office when they invited Christopher Walken in for that part, because it's fucking outlandish. It's brilliant. I have loved that part. I've loved that film since I first watched it when I was a kid. Fucking brilliant. So understated, so underrated.
It. I remember it did pop up into my mind when I was thinking. I was like, oh yeah, I remember. I saw some connective tissue there, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an understated film. It's so underrated as well. I mean, I think it's been out of print for fucking ages, but I've got the DVD. I think I saw it in HMV one time. I was like, I need to get it because I had it on VHS. And it's such a caper. It's such a slapstick caper. But again, you have these moments of Unknown Origin which are quite slapstick in nature. Like, you fucker, that kind of stuff. The hand trapping, the building these elaborate weapons, to try and stop it. And they do the same thing in the film. They plant all these traps everywhere. They try and use a Hoover to fucking to draw the mouse out, and then the mouse attaches a sewer pipe to it, and then the Hoover just expands and explodes. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And there are, like I said, there are so many parallels and cross references from that film to this film. I wonder if when they were doing the research for like a mouse caper film, if they didn't just have a look at this of Unknown Origin and go, yeah, okay, there's some beats in here we can use ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd put money on it. I'd put money on it.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Like, how many mouse films are there? How many, something similar? We're looking for something similar.
Yeah, because they don't want to create a horror movie or a psychological thriller. They want to make a comedy. So comedies all stem from making fun of things, don't they? So pick from these other films like Scary Movie did. Pick from these fucking movies and pull them down, pull the pants down on them and go, haha, what's that? And play around with those tropes. And it does. Mousehunt does compared to this film. So there you go. There is my parallel. I am going to watch Mousehunt again.
Yeah, I think I will. It sounds like just thinking about it now, I am chuckling to myself. I'm like, it was
fucking genius. I love slapstick comedy that's honest and well written, and that's an honest and well written film. And a game like this, it's kind of vanished. It's disappeared, doesn't it?
Yeah, we don't really get them anymore, do we? Unfortunately, like that good physical humor. It seems to be improv or other stuff or awkward humor. It's not like honest, because again, slapstick. I think some people see slapstick as a bit cheap or a bit like obvious, or
it is if it's done poorly.
Yeah, true.
Again,
but like you said, Lee Evans and Nathan Lane, big kind of theatrical background. They know how to land those moments, and they've done it, live in front of people and landed those. So it doesn't, it doesn't seem like it'd be an issue for them anyway to replicate that kind of comedy. As long as they're allowed to go big and go home, not go home rather. Then yeah, absolutely. I was thinking I was listening to Movie Dumpster again. I think I mentioned them before the podcast or during. I can't remember now. And they've covered it recently. They compared the novel with the film recently, like in the last week or so. Weirdly, Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
And they reference like Vampire's Kiss, which I kind of thought is where you were going, and I was like, kind of. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little because you go, there's this one thing, this one obsession. It starts, affecting him outside of work, in work, and leads to lots of kind of comedic stuff, but also kind of quite disturbing and strange things going on as well.
Yeah.
And then I guess there's a bit of American Psycho I can see in there as well. Like you're not quite sure if he's imagining it, and again the yuppie aspect, like you've mentioned already.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those elements. Like, is it real? He's having the dreams, and the dreams are depicted very real.
Yeah. Dreams are fucking great.
Until they're not. Until it's like they're, because he's getting off with Shannon Tweed. His kid's eating rat poison, and she jumps on her back and is like, yeah. What's the other dream as well? I was trying to remember.
The fucking birthday party.
That
and
was
the rats in the cake. Fucking hell. All the kids are going, no!
Oh God! It's just like
it's like an alien thing, isn't it? Like
it is. I think people have made comparisons with this film and Alien as well. I think I listened to the commentary with Cosmato Samuel, and I think he compared it. People have compared this to Alien, which kind of is a lot of tunnels and dark corridors, cramped spaces. One antagonist against the protagonist. So there's a lot of parallels you can make with a lot of films and stuff, but it is quite.
Here I am making a parallel with Mousehunt.
But I don't think you're wrong though. I honestly do not. I'm not like no. You're stretching there. You're reaching there, Andy. No, because I thought it as well this time round. I was like, I haven't seen Mousehunt in a while. like almost unconsciously going, oh yeah, there's a little bit of that. And again, there is some humour when he's doing kind of the martial arts with the the bat at the end, and it's kind of like there is humor in this. There is humor to be found. Again, it's a very unique style of humor, and it probably takes some time getting used to it, given the main premise is this guy's life falling apart. But there is moments of fun and levity, like like the lines I've spoken about, and like him calling it a furry motherfucker and things like that. Just wonderful kind of moments. And again, it seems quite off the cuff. It seems almost like, and he's like, I've smoked dope. I've been to college. I've been through things. I know what I've done. You don't want to mess with me. All this kind of stuff. Just wonderful. Just a very unique, strange, unusual film, which I think if you're open to it, I think most people would enjoy or take something out of this. Again, if you're into that sort of things or the things we've described, I think they are. It is worth checking out if you can find it. I bought the DVD. I think you're going to struggle to find it unless you have the DVD. I got it off eBay quite cheap. I think I got it for like a tenner or something. So it is available, but it's not readily available. It is from Warner Brothers, so give them a call if you want a Blu-ray 4K version of this rat movie. Then absolutely go for it. Now, before we go, we do have a comment from Derek, who he managed to watch it. So he sent me an email, so I'm going to read that out. So, hey Dan, the main problem I had with this movie is that the rat scenes put me in the mind of the children's TV classic Bodger and Badger. Which I think he means is when, if you remember Bodger and Badger, it's a man who lives with a badger. The badger is a puppet, but Badger would go into the wall and speak with his friend the mouse. It was all kind of like a sawdust world, if I remember rightly. Do you remember?
Yeah, vaguely, but fucking hell.
Yeah, this is an absolute like. I mean, weirdly, it's not even like this isn't like Derek's like. He's not showing his age; he's showing our age almost. This is like our childhood. Bodger and Badger, Bodger and Badger are never far away. That was it.
It's chaos. I mean, the parallels are quite stark there as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess. He's always like throwing mashed potato. For some reason, loved mashed potato. Just he's throwing mashed potatoes, covering the
fucking ruining his life in his house.
But I can see what he means with like going inside the walls and that sort of stuff. And like you said, the chaos and the ruining of the house and things. Like that was very like similar. I don't know if his daughter was watching Bodger and Badger at the time, but yeah, I don't think the parallels aren't lost on me. I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
He said also, did you know, by the way, that Shannon Tweed, who plays Peter Weller's wife, also stars in Cannibal Women of the Avocado Jungle of Death. Never seen it myself, but sounds right up your street. That's one of the Shannon Tweed films I haven't seen. I've seen it. I've gone through her entire...
watching in a few weeks.
Oh
no.
Well, Andy will reveal his choice very briefly, but thank you, Derek. I'm very interested to hear what other people think of this film as well. So please go out and watch it. If you like anything we've mentioned, including Mousehunt, please let us know what you thought.
Please do.
If you've seen it, leave a message in the comments. Remember as well, with Andy's next pick, it won't be on this channel. It will be on Andy's channel. There is a playlist. We swap each time. When I host, it's on my channel. When Andy hosts, it's on his channel. So next one of these, go over to Andy's channel to see it. I will release it as a podcast.
We missed a month because
Things
reasons.
happen.
We're both very busy, weren't we?
Yeah.
Last month, I think it was, both very busy. And then this one's a bit late out because, God fucking damn it, shit's been
I'm
happening.
surprised. I'm surprised we've only missed a month, to be honest. I felt like we were doing it every 2 months or something, but I think we've been fairly.
It's been about 6 weeks, I think. Really,
yeah,
I think
it's fine. It's fine.
It's a simple formula. Simple formula. One on, one off. I mean, other channels do it. Other things do it. Share the
love, share the attention, share the listens, the likes, the views, the
share
comments,
the load,
share the load. So yeah,
it's a very simple formula.
Yeah, just it's not rocket science. If you go to the playlist, there'll be a link in the show notes called the playlist. You go on there; they're all on there, every single one. You can watch them in order, however you want to do it. That's probably the best way to go about it. They will be there. If you want to listen to it in an audio form, I'll put it out as a podcast. Andy will have his audio if he wants to do it as a podcast as well. But
I think I have been doing.
Yep, there you go. So he's doing. These are both unedited videos, putting them out as they are. Not spending too much time on them because it's meant to be fun. We're not.
Me with my noisy fan in the background.
The noisy fan. Well, I want to hear from some noisy fans in the comments. That's what I want to hear. No noisy rats, only noisy fans.
Yeah. Share your rat stories. Tell us your woes of rattage.
Or mice, in fact, like me and my own mouse hunt that I began. Make sure you're going back and forth to the different channels to hear our thoughts on various films that we're sharing. We're sharing the load, sharing the films, sharing the silver screen.
There we go. It's in the fucking title, just like this film.
The title.
The title's in the film somewhere.
I don't want to hear any messages going, where's that one you were talking about? Where's the film that Andy suggested? Why isn't it on here? Because it's over on Andy's, because it's his suggestion. And
because that means you ain't listening right the way through to the end.
Yes.
Bad do.
This is why I feel like I've had these questions, so I'm trying to say it in every single one, so we make sure people know what they're supposed to be doing. But Andy, it is your choice again. Here we are, once again. What is it going to be for your pick?
I love trolling through your list. I have your list on my desktop. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest gift you've ever given me. We've given each other gifts many a time. And you sent me a gift before. The news that Green Goblin's helmet is being released. And the grenade as well. The fucking grenade.
Yeah, I didn't show that one, but that one is coming as well.
That's what I'm blowing 200 quid on. Because I've got Magneto's helmet, I've got an Infinity Gauntlet, and good God, I need Green Goblin's helmet, don't I?
Yeah.
And yes, I love trolling through your list, your never-ending list, which you do need to go through and remove some.
I have recently removed some, and I'll go through again. I do it regularly. I just go, have I seen this?
And you need to make sure you're adding things in there as well.
I am doing that as well. That as well.
But I was looking, so I went beginning to end, I think, with the last couple of films that we looked at. So I thought, you know what, I'll have a hover around the middle section of your list. It's like 20 odd pages long, I think.
Sure. And
I stumbled across one, and I went, Jesus Christ, I've not watched that either, which is always a good sign.
Okay.
It's always a good sign. And I thought, okay, you know what? I don't know how I've not seen this film, because I've seen every single movie this guy has been in. And when I was younger, a lot of his mannerisms factored into to me as a person. A lot of his comedy stylings, as it were. Some of the elaborate faces and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, okay, this one seems a bit sort of left field in a way, this movie. maybe that's why I've never watched it. That, and I don't really know much about the person it's based around. Okay. So, the film we're going to be watching is Man on the Moon, starring Jim Carrey, about the American entertainer Andy Kaufman. So there we go.
So it's
a bit of a left field choice.
So
I have not seen this film. Okay. I've not seen this film. It's the only Jim Carrey movie that I haven't seen. The only one, and I know that because I went through his list, and I've seen every Jim Carrey movie.
Right. This is interesting. So usually it's something we have seen and we're sharing. So now this is off the wall. I will say,
but I'm sharing it on the basis that I'm sharing my love of Jim Carrey, not his later stuff.
Yeah.
His earlier stuff around about this time.
Andy, so, I have no issue with this. Yeah. You play fast and loose with whatever you want to do. So I will say I have seen the documentary.
Yeah, I've seen the documentary.
Yeah, doesn't make him out in a good light, I will say. But
Andy Kaufman or Jim Carrey?
Maybe a bit of both. I don't think particularly made Jim Carrey look very good. No. I'll be honest. And the director, I think it was Milos Forman, I want to say.
Yes.
I think it's he was like, never release this. And I'm kind of like, yeah, probably shouldn't, but he was like, I'm gonna release this to the world.
But again, that's what factored in. So I was like, okay, I wonder if, because it kind of came and went, and this was pretty much at the height of his power, really, his performing power, wasn't it, Jim Carrey? So it's well documented that he had some fucking issues in the late 90s.
Sure.
After all the success of Ace Ventura 2, The Mask.
He's always had issues. I think at that point, that's when he's steering towards being more dramatic. His more dramatic roles, I believe.
Yeah.
His Truman Show and all those other ones. So the Majestic and other stuff. So that will be interesting. That will be interesting. I think I'll do a fair bit of research. I don't know if maybe I'll watch that documentary again. But I was kind of just like, part of me was kind of like, why would you show this? You being a dick to everybody.
Yeah.
Again, we'll talk about it, but you know how I feel about method acting and stuff like that.
God, yeah. I mean,
I'm sure we'll get into it. But
I'm pretty sure it was his attempt to do that kind of thing, wasn't it? To be more methodical in his approach. But yes, because he stays in the role the entire way through, doesn't he? Through the filming of it, which is where a lot of the issues come from. But I think it's just interesting because, like I said, I don't really know much about Andy Kaufman other than what I've said, what I've seen in the documentary. All I know is that he did get a fucking massive bit of acclaim for this film. So whatever the troubles were, he still got a fucking Golden Globe for it. So
I watched a video recently about the wrestling, like him and his wrestling thing. Bizarre. And again, it's almost like, I don't know, it's kind of like avant-garde comedy he's almost doing. Like, it's like it only really makes him laugh, but it's awkward and weird and strange. Yeah, he's an enigma as well. I think both him and Jim Carrey, to a degree, somewhat enigmas when it comes to performing and being a performer and what they do and how they do it. But so
it's a bit of a cheat. It's a bit of a cheat, but I think it's a worthy cheat because we're bringing in a biographical comedy. We've not done anything like a bio. We have not done like a biography yet, have we? So and I'm sharing my love of Jim Carrey because without Jim Carrey, probably wouldn't have a lot of the weird, bizarre mannerisms that I have right now.
We can blame him. We can blame him.
Yeah, we can, because Ace Ventura ruined my life, to be honest with you, in a good way. And that and The Mask, I think I watched those fucking films more than anything when I was growing up.
Well, I mean, who didn't?
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was the thing. I think for 90s kids, Jim Carrey was.
Yeah, liar. Christ almighty, fucking liar. Changed my life. It changed my life.
You never lied again? You never lied again?
No, I just got more and more elaborate with my swearing.
That's the lesson you learned from
life. Yeah, it's just a more colourful language. You slammed her, you dunked a donut, you stuffed her like a Thanksgiving turkey.
This and Mousehunt. This and Mousehunt. Liar, Liar, and
Yeah.
Mousehunt. Those are your like Genesis films. That's
Yeah.
it.
That Scream, there's like a weird cacophony of films that change my life, like little jumping points. Like in Marvel, they have the sacred timeline where there's key moments that can't be changed. Yeah, well, like Jim Carrey films, Mouse Hunt,
Is that
Scream.
your is Jim Carrey your anchor being?
Yeah, he must be. He must be, because that's where it all stems from.
Remove Jim Carrey from Andy's life,
Yeah.
he ceases to exist.
So that's what it was, because obviously, I remember Mum telling me that Dan Marino was a real person from Ace Ventura, the American football. So like, if he's a real person,
yeah.
that must mean Ace Ventura's a real person. When you're a kid, you just believe it. I just believed he was real for the longest time. So my mum
It's a biopic.
my mum was a Miami Dolphins fan, so she was really up there. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's got the Miami Dolphins in it." And Ace Ventura. I assumed it was a real story.
Pet detective.
But that's why I loved it so much, because like, fucking hell, this is great, because this is quite clearly what really happened, isn't it? Because Dan Marino's real. And I remember.
It's not a true story.
That's because Dan Marino getting kidnapped. It's like he's a real person. He must have got kidnapped because he's real.
The only person to solve it was the pet detective.
Yeah.
It's the only guy.
There you go. That is it. That's a fixed point in time. In all the timelines of Angry Andy, there is no other point apart from that point where you hit Ace Ventura, and then it goes into the mask, and then Liar Liar, and it all springs off from there.
Fucking hell. Brilliant. Wow.
The Star Wars, like Jim Carrey, Liar Liar, Star Wars. Boom. There's your fucking jumping off point. That's where all the branches separate.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There's no coming back from that. But yes, yeah. Well, there we go. Man on the Moon. We'll see what happens. I don't know. This might be you've had a pretty good record so far of me mostly enjoying these films.
It is a bit of a left field one.
We'll see.
For everyone, it's on BBC iPlayer.
There we go. Very readily available, unlike most of my films. So yeah, go check that out. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. Watch it again. Watch Mousehunt. Watch Vampire's Kiss. Whatever you want. Watch of Unknown Origin if you can find it. If you can get a copy. But yes, thank you again, Andy. This has been brilliant. Really enjoyed this one. And we'll see you over again on Andy's channel, on Angry Andy Reviews.
Yes, come and have a look on the channel, Angry Andy Reviews. You can find me at Andy_review on Twitter, I think it is. I can't remember. Don't remember my own handle because I don't have to. So yes, and just a quick thank you from me for everyone's patience and kind words that have been said over the last couple of weeks. Me and the family had a bit of a difficult time over the last couple of months, and it's nice to know there are people out there thinking of us. I think you said Derek sent a message, didn't you? So again, thank you very much for everybody for your kind words and for sticking by me. I've missed a few things, reviews and whatever. So, but I appreciate it. So thank you very much. And see you on the channel. We're nearly at 500 subscribers. So
right. Well, you know what to do. You know what to fucking do to cheer Andy up then. Get those subscribers up. Get those likes up.
I'm not begging. I'm not begging.
He's not begging. He's not begging, but I'm begging. I'm on my knees.
We're only 999,500 and something from a million. So let's go.
Ooh, go on.
Let's go.
Let's do it. While you're there, if you've not already liked me or commented or subscribed, do it for me as well. I might have some horrible things happen to me very soon. You never know. So please do the same thing. No, fingers crossed. No, please don't wish any bad things on me. Thank you. No, right, we'll leave it there. Thank you, guys. This has been brilliant, and as always, we'll see you next time on Sharing the Silver Screen.
Bye-bye.